Gentlemen, it is Sunday. It is Sunday, April the 19th, 1000 hours here on the East Coast of America. Let me know if you can see me and hear me okay in the chat. This is Coffee with Frankie. This is the coffee. I'm the Frankie. Gotta love a little good coffee on a Sunday morning. We have some NFL news last night. In case you missed it, the New York Giants made a trade. And now the NFL draft, which is coming up this week, has been uh, shuffled around. Yeah, in case you missed it, the New York Giants have traded Pro Bowl defensive tackle Sexy Dexy Dexter Lawrence to the Cincinnati Bengals in return for the 10th overall pick in the draft. And so the entire draft has been shaken up by this news because there's a new player in the top 10. Oh, this doesn't work like that. And so as we see from this thing here, now you got the Giants in here at number 10. So they got the 5th pick and the 10th pick. We got the 2nd pick and the 16th pick. So that has changed things up. So there has been some movement. The trade winds are a-blowing, and that was probably the first move of many. A lot of NFL commentators and observers are saying, hey, there's going to be a lot of trades this year. We'll have to see about that, and we'll see if Muji can wake up and do something, because he's been a little quiet here lately. As we wait for folks to gather this morning to understand that Muji, a little quiet. We need a receiver, Mr. Muji, a bunch of other things. But as we wait for others to gather inside of Coffee with Frankie chat room, I'd like to remind you about chemtrails. Yeah, that's my blog. We got a blog going. We got a column. You know, Samini's got a column. Why don't we got a column? Well, now we do. Frankie from flatbush.substack.com. As you can see here, today's story was about what does an industry best 24% hit rate on NFL draft predictions say about the experts making those predictions. That came out this morning. Lots of other news in there. You can see we've got an article about David Onyemata right here. We got something on Geno Smith, the prodigal quarterback. Something on Carl Dunbar. So lots of written materials. We also have some video materials as well, video and audio. So lots to see here. And Substack is a growing platform, I must say. But I must reveal also that I am an investor in Substack. So if you hate the big media, media people, well, you should support the independent media, and where they are is Substack for the most part, and YouTube, I guess. But, you know, there's lots of good stuff on Substack on all sorts of topics, football or otherwise. So you may want to check out Substack in general, substack.com. It's got written material, audio material, video material, any kind of material you're looking for on just about any topic you like. And you can subscribe to these people's publications. And in the case of chemtrails, my blog there, it's going to be free. It's going to remain free. There's options to pay if you want to, but you could just click the free option, and all the materials are going to be free for the time being anyway. So let's check out the chat. The book of Deuteronomy's here. This is Alan Dodds, the New Paltz legend, the rugby legend from New Paltz. Alan Dodds is here. Now, he's a member of the Inner Circle. That's a way to support the channel as well. You click the join button down below, and you can hang out with Alan Dodds. What a great thing it is. Just $2 a month. Dodds is finally ready to get this draft going. Yeah, it's draft week. Probably going to be a bunch of trades, and we saw one last night. But as teams have made their final assessments of their teams, of the draft, of everything. What do we need? What do we don't have? What are we going to get in the draft? What are we not going to get in the draft? Let's make some trades to figure it out. So it could be an exciting time. And then he says, do you think the Giants fleeced the Bengalis? I would say no. They made a nice trade. That trade made sense on both sides. But something you may not realize, Dodes, is this. The Giants' defense is pretty terrible. How are they going to stop the run with these people? They have nobody. Roy Robertson, Harris, these people stink. Now, Brian Burns is good. Okay. Kayvon Thibodeau is Abdul Carter. Okay. They got Tremaine Edmonds and Micah McFadden. What? There's no way that this defense, now they'll improve it some in the draft, don't get me wrong, but this is bad. I think the Giant fan is a little delusional because this is not a good defense. They're talking about maybe even trading Kayvon. So, I mean, the back end, I don't like even any of these players. Newbin's okay, I guess. Who do you like here? Brian Burns? Abdul Carter a little bit? How are you going to stop the run? Here's the game plan against the Giants this year. Run it up the middle. They got nothing. So they're rebuilding, no matter what the Giant fan will tell you. They are rebuilding. The offense isn't great either. A lot of people are saying, well, now the Giants are going to pick a wide receiver at 10, so that's bad for the Jets. I don't think so. Remember, the Giants have, this is their offense, Neighbors, Slayton, Mooney. That's not bad. Neighbors is great. Slayton's fine. Mooney's okay. But when you have this and then you have this, how are you going to not go defense? Both picks, both of those top 10 picks should be defense, in my opinion. And if it's not defense, then you need Venga Ioane, because John Runyon is not good, hasn't been. Falele is not good. So you have a problem at guard. You have a big problem on defense. And you're going to take a wide receiver? What? No. If they take offense, it's got to be Vega Ioane. And that would be good because you want to develop Jackson Dart. Let's say you want to say we're going to, it's going to be another year for the defense or something. All right. But I don't see with this crew here, I don't see them picking a wide receiver. Their wide receivers are good enough, and they have so many other problems. I think the Giant fan is going to realize something that the Jet fan realized last year. When you trade away your defensive players, your defense then stinks. Now, they'll fix it some in the draft, of course, but I don't think it's a one-year fix. There's too many holes. So, and then from the Bengals' perspective, now, here's what the Bengals look like. This is not a great team, but they're trying to get this defense up. So the thing with the Bengals is their entire team is tied up in Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, pretty much. That's their entire cap. And then they have an okay line. It's all right. And they have Gesicki, who plays like a wide receiver. And so they're trying to outscore you with this crew here. And then they've tried to get a little bit better on defense. As you can see, their linebacking core is, oh boy. But the defensive line, at least, is looking much better than it was anyway. Mafe, Dexy, Allen, who's old, Miles Murphy, they have B.J. Hill, Shamar Stewart, that this guy needs to develop here. But what they're trying to do with this trade, they looked at the trade and said, well, we can't get anybody at 10 that's better than Dexter Lawrence, so let's get Dexter Lawrence. All right. Because they have to try to go to the Super Bowl now. Now. Ahora. A fuego. Because they got Burrow. They got Joe Burrow sitting at press conferences going, I'm not sure about this life I'm leading. He's a little depressed. It's a weird thing for your starting quarterback to say when you got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Hello. So they're trying to win now with Joe Burrow. Who knows? Maybe he'll get depressed and quit like Andrew Luck. We don't know. And nonetheless, they're in their window now. I don't think they did enough to really be a Super Bowl contender myself, but that's what they're thinking, trying to look at it from their point of view. So they've improved the defense, yes, because it was horrible. I mean, it'd be hard not to improve it. And, if Shamar Stewart develops into something, all right, now you're looking a lot better. But this defense still isn't good. They need linebackers in the worst way. Their defensive backfield, they got Brian Cook okay. Other than that, it's all right. But that's what they're doing. So it's teams in different directions. The Bengals needed to do something big on defense, and they think it's Dexter Lawrence, 29 years old, coming off his worst season. But still, if he plays like he did, in 24, then you have a superstar. And then they're trying to score enough points with an okay defense to win that way. That's what they're doing, and they're trying to go to the Super Bowl. They're paying Joe Burrow, they're paying Jamar Chase, they're paying T. Higgins, and that's what they're doing. So it makes sense for both teams. I think the Giant fan doesn't understand they're in a rebuild. With that roster, you're in a rebuild. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, it'll get I don't think you can improve the whole defense, which is basically what you need, the defensive line, the linebackers, and all in one draft. I mean, they're going to get some pieces, but I think they're in for a rebuilding year. And then by next year, they hope they can be contenders again. But don't tell the Giant fan that. they'll laugh in your face. Deuteronomy says, the Jets got a better deal for Quinn and I think. Well, the problem is you don't know where that pick is, right? So what if the Cowboys, do really well and make the playoffs? Now it's a pick in the 20s. The Giants got the 10th pick overall. So I think it's about even probably, but it could turn out in the Jets' favor. If the Cowboys stink, then, and it's a top 10 pick, let's say it's the 10th pick next year. Then we got the 10th pick next year and a second. So yeah, we did a little better. But considering that they didn't want to pay Dexy, they were kind of over a barrel in a way. He requested a trade, so did Quinnen, but nobody knew it. And so I think given the circumstances, they made a nice trade. Now, I think they should trade this pick back. This is what I was saying yesterday. We're right here, and why can't the Giants, who need lots of stuff, why can't the Giants trade out of 10? I was saying maybe the Bengals will want to trade out of 10 to move back. Instead, they traded out of 10 to get Dexy, but why don't the Giants trade with the Jets to move back and get more stuff? They can get pick 44 out of us. They need all that stuff. I just showed you all the stuff they need. It's lots. Why would they stick here? Come down here, still get a really good player, but then get another good player in the second round. And for us, we might want to come up. So we'll have to see. Superfan is here. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Net Warrior, this is sad that I'm addicted to this on Sunday mornings. Yeah, well, listen, man. You could be addicted to worse, my friend. You could be addicted to methamphetamines. Duncan Lloyd is here. Joe Mike is here. How bad are the Sink Bengals? Instead of keeping Trey Hendrickson, they'd trade for Trevor Lawrence. Now, Joe Mike is in the inner circle, so you could hang out with Joe Mike. But I just showed their roster. Hendrickson is older, so they basically traded an edge player away, essentially let him leave. And then they traded the 10th pick for Dexter Lawrence. So they could have had, but I think that we got to see what the contract for Dexy is. With that we don't know. But, Trey wanted out. He wanted a big deal. He's an edge rusher who gets lots of sacks. And he's also older. So they got rid of him and the 10th pick for Dexy is the way to look at it. if you look at it that way, it's not great. But they didn't. Those things didn't happen simultaneously. Number one, Hendrickson wanted out of there in the worst way. He didn't want to play for them, and and I think they looked at the number 10 pick and said, we can't get anybody better than Dexter Lawrence, so let's go ahead and get him. It's not optimal. Trey Hendrickson, let's see how he does with the Ravens. I mean, he's getting up there in age. I mean, remember when he played us, Joe, and John Simpson blocked him and he fell on the ground yelling about his hip? I mean, this guy, he may not be what he once was. Maybe becoming an old man with his hip problems. But nonetheless, that's where they are. The prodigal quarterback. Yeah, you should read the article. It's really good, Mr. Net Warrior. I think. Not a lot of people reading the old Frankie column just yet, but we got to build it up. We got to build it up. We got to get people interested in reading some stuff about the Jets. That's good. Howie K is here. Let's have some coffee and badmouth the damn Giants. Yeah, now I'm not a person who hates the Giants or anything like that. I never did. Even when I was growing up, I was a Jet fan, but I didn't hate the Giants. And it was the same thing with the Yankees. I was a Yankee fan, but I didn't hate the Mets. In fact, I was happy when the Mets won the World Series in '86 because me and my friends went to the parade and did all this stuff, and I don't know. We got really. It was fun. We were baseball fans. How about them Jets? Good morning, folks. Who will get it right? Can't wait for Thursday night. Go Jets. Yeah, let's hope and pray that Muji and Glenn make smart decisions. If you believe in the man above, you might want to pray that Muji and Glenn in the front office of the Jets make smart decisions. Just make smart decisions. They've been doing good. Ever since Muji got his staff together last year with all these trades, now it's draft time, and they got to be smart with this draft. Let's hope they get it right. Let's hope they get it right. And there may be some trades before the draft, or it may be one of those things where we get to Thursday night and then the trades start flying as the picks come in. We will be covering it live on Thursday. So if you don't, if you're not sure where to be, there's a lot of people going to be live on Thursday, but we will be live on Thursday as well covering it. In fact, we have a couple of things for the draft. We have this. Yeah, look at this good luck football that I got. Yeah, this is the green and black Nerf football. This is a good luck charm. Hopefully, we'll keep this on hand. But also, we got the big screen TV right here. We got it in here. So we'll be able to watch the draft on like regular TV, over-the-air TV, instead of online. So hopefully that'll prevent leakages and you're behind and being behind in the internet feed and all of that. So we'll have that on here. Then we'll be going live here. We'll be live and in living color. And we'll be discussing, analyzing, hopefully joyously, these picks that we make. And hopefully this green and white, green and red, green and black Nerf football. Hopefully this will be our good luck charm right here. So we got some accoutrement. Hi Karate is here. Says, good morning, FSPN. Joe Mike says, if Joe Burrow stays in sync, he will be the modern day Dan Marino. That's possible, but they're going for it right now. He's already made one Super Bowl, as did Marino. But the Bengals are going for it right now. They're in their window, so they got to make hay. We'll see how they do. But a lot of good quarterbacks don't make the Super Bowl. What about Phillip Rivers? What about this one and that one? Chris Bradigan, he's in the inner circle. You could hang out with Chris Bradigan, the great one. Joe Mike says, Frankie provides so much extra content with membership. Everyone needs to join. Well, I appreciate that, Joe. Yeah, $2 a month, and you get all sorts of draft guides. By the way, we'll have, I think, 2 more draft guides dropping in the files this week as I acquire them, so you don't have to. If you're a member of the Inner Circle, you get these draft guides that cost a lot of money. I buy them, and then I give them to you for free. Well, not for free, but for $2 a month. For being a member, we already have a bunch of draft guides up there. We have the reception perception charts for all the wide receivers and tight ends. What kind of routes do they run? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they good at this route, that route? Well, the charts tell you. I got them all from Matt Harmon. And now you could look at them because you're a member, just like Joe Mike over here. And we should have the PFF guide and I think the Corey Kinnan guide. A couple of the old Corey Kinnan guides are up there now. If you're a member, by the way, I've been dropping stuff on up there in the files. You got to check it out periodically, updated. So that way you could go back for players that were drafted, previously. You could see what the draft write-up is for them in case the Jets are going to acquire them or for any reason you're just curious about a certain player. And so we'll have even more resources dropping this week. Although I think for these people who write these guides, it's a little late. You got to get it out before the week of the draft, for God's sakes. But some of these people don't do that. So we'll have to see. But more and more resources always provided to the members who support this channel. Alternative media is important, in my opinion. How about Dem Jet says, what player we pick at 16 would have you scratching your head or screaming? Well, I don't know. I'd be worried about Jordan Tyson because of the injury history. Good player. So I'd worry about that, but he's a really good player, Jordan Tyson. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, what if they picked Dylan Thieneman? I'd be like, okay, cool. We got a really good safety. What if they pick one of the wide receivers? Because we've been over the bucket. We got 7 players in our first round bucket of wide receivers. So if we pick any of them, I'm happy. Pretty much. I mean, I have my favorites, but as long as we get one of those 7, all right. And it's likely we will if we stay at 16. And then, but what if we pick Venga Ioane? All right, then we got the best offensive lineman in the draft. And we're moving Tippmann maybe back to center. And now we're going to have a really strong O-line. I wouldn't love it, but I would love the player. And I would say, wow, we got an offensive line. We're going to ground and pound this motherfucker. And then the next 2 picks better be wide receiver. But, there really isn't any, to be honest. I mean, unless we do something really stupid. I mean, what if we, even if we pick Simpson, let's say some people think we'll take Ty Simpson at 6. If we take Ty Simpson at 16, I'd be like, all right, we were thinking about the future, So there's different ways to go. I don't get fixated on one player, and I think a lot of fans get fixated on individual players. We talk about buckets on this channel for a reason, because number one, that's how the teams do it, and number 2, it keeps you from getting too fixated on one guy. And then if the guy goes before you pick, then you're all upset. Right? So, I don't know. If we did something totally unexpected, like Caden, what if we picked Caden McDonald? We're not going to do this. But what if we picked Caden? I doubt it. This would be a head scratcher more than anything. But Caden McDonald, for example. Now, that's a defensive tackle, and he's really good run stuffer. So, would that be a little weird considering our roster? Yes. Would it be the worst thing in the world? No. We need to stop the run. We improved our roster there so far, but still need more. So, I don't know. It's almost like I can make sense of almost anything. Thursday is going to be a long day, Karate says. Yeah. The Atomic Clock says, wouldn't it have just made more sense to pay Hendrickson and keep the pick? Well, they didn't want to pay Hendrickson for whatever the reason, and Dexy plays a different position, and Hendrickson is older. So they made their choice that they didn't want to pay that much money for that old of a player who's probably declining. Dexter Lawrence is 28. years old and better than what you could get at 10. So I just think they didn't want Hendrickson at his price no matter what. So it's sort of like two separate issues. Now, it's going to depend how much are they going to pay Lawrence and how are they going to structure the contract. But he also plays a totally different position. And if he's right, he's a dominant player. Hendrickson is really good at one thing, getting sacks. But Dexy is really good at a position. I mean, he's probably the best nose tackle in football. I mean, let's put it that way. If he played, last year seemed to be a down year because of seemingly injury. He's got an elbow thing. But if he's back to 24 level, he's the best nose tackle in football. So Hendrickson's not the best edge player in football. But two different positions. It seems like they were done with Hendrickson anyway, so they let him go. And then this opportunity came along, and they said, well, considering we don't have Hendrickson and we have all these other players that we did get, why don't we add Lawrence into the mix? So they couldn't have known. First of all, they couldn't have known when they let Hendrickson go that Lawrence was going to be available. So, you make your decisions as you move along. They didn't want to pay Hendrickson, and then now they're going to pay Lawrence because they probably just didn't like what was available at 10 once they finished all of their evaluation of the draft. So we'll see. Joe Mike, Frankie, thoughts on Todd McShithead pivoting Jets, selecting Reese now? For weeks he had... We've discussed Todd McShithead many times. He has his historical picks are behind a paywall. So if anybody pays his paywall and can tell me his historical picks for the first round, I'd love to know, because I am keeping track of these people. That's one of the first items in the new column I have up at Chemtrails, is about the historical accuracy of these professional pickers. And with McShay, I only have 1 year because most of his stuff is behind the paywall. But generally speaking, the best guy, this is what Chemtrails talks about, the best guy that puts out his stuff publicly is Dame Brugler, and he only hits on 24%. That's the best historically on average. So number one, I don't think these guys know what they're doing. And number two, I do think they get bought and paid off by various entities. And I talk about this in the Chemtrails column as well. You guys should really be reading the Chemtrails column. It's free. It's on Substack, frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. But one of the other things I talk about, Joe Mike, is the fact that Texas Tech is in a really unique position right now. They're trying to become the permanent kings of the Big 12. Texas Tech is in the Big 12. The Big 12 is the third best conference in college football. It goes SEC, Big 10, Big Drop, Big 12, and then Big Drop in ACC. But in the Big 12, you basically have Texas Tech, Utah, and BYU. Those are the top three dogs. And Texas Tech is the top dog. And one of the reasons they're the top dog, they have more money than God because of where Texas Tech is. And a lot of you have never been to Texas. You should go to Texas and check it out. It's a very interesting place called Texas. And if you ever go there, you'll notice it's really, really big. Like, really big. And one of the parts of Texas is called Northwest Texas. And if you ever go to Northwest Texas, you'll notice something. There's nothing there. It's all oil fields and farmers and ranchers and big giant wind farm. What do you call those? The turbines? They're gigantic. There's oil, there's wind, there's farmers, there's ranchers, but that's it. And then there's Texas Tech right there. So all of those people who are all rich running all of those operations up there, oil, wind, ranchers, farmers, they're all extremely wealthy. Extremely wealthy. And so they're all Texas Tech alums. So they all support Texas Tech as boosters. So Texas Tech has tons and tons of money, plus they have Patrick Mahomes as a alumnus, which really helps. So they're trying to run the Big 12. And if you think they're not paying off these prognosticators to try and move David Bailey, in this case, up the rankings, you're out of your mind, because it really, really, really would help them if David Bailey would go 2 or 3 or as high up as they can get him, you see, because that helps their recruiting. One of the things that's really problematic, and I know this from talking to people at UCF, let's just put it like that. One of the things, we're also in the Big 12, by the way, so we have to compete against those fuckers. And we could talk about Lee Hunter if you really want to, but let's not get Frankie upset. But the thing about it is that the competitive landscape for talent has completely shifted in college football now. Because of NIL rev share, we're paying these guys all kinds of money. The competitive landscape and the portals, the 2 portals they had, now they have 1 portal, but no portal restrictions as of right now. You could transfer schools as many times as you want. These guys it's a very, very competitive landscape to land talent. And everyone is starting to understand in college football now, the more talent you have, the further you're going. And the further you go, even if you really don't even care about football at a university drives everything else. This is the thing that Indiana University is discovering now. Football at a university drives everything else. It drives how many donors are going to give you money. It drives how many kids are going to apply to go there. It drives how many smart kids, the smarter kids now, are going to apply to go to your school and get in there. So it drives enrollment. It drives donor dollars. It drives everything. The football team is everything. It's really weird. It's really strange. It's kind of weird. But that's the world we're living in now. That's why it makes total sense for Indiana University to give Curt Cignetti whatever amount of money he wants, because he has completely turned around that program. They're now a powerhouse, whereas they used to be a laughingstock, and in 2 years, he turned that whole fucking thing around, and he is now worth whatever he wants, because now Indiana University is getting donors that come out of the woodwork to give them money, and they're getting people who want to go there, regular students, and football players want to go there now, and basketball players, and all the kind of players, and all the sports, and they're getting higher levels of the smarter students who are going to then be able to do research, and you're going to be able to get research grants that you couldn't get before because you didn't have the students. And now it's going to influence how many great faculty you can hire, who are then going to go on to do great research and spin off great companies. So this is all the world of football that nobody ever talks about. It is a driver. And nobody ever talks about this. It's weird. But that's the reality of college football today. And so if you think that Texas Tech or any of these big schools aren't going to use their muscle and their might, and then you have the collectives, you have the boosters, if you think those entities are not going to do everything in their power in all areas to get a better football team, you're crazy. And in this case, it means doing whatever you can to influence the people who are influential. In this case, McShithead, whether it's Kuiper, McShithead, Daniel Jeremiah, all these people. If you think they're not going to do whatever it takes to influence them, you're crazy. They are. And look at it from their point of view. What difference does it make if one week McShithead has Bailey going 2 to the Jets? That's his opinion 2 weeks ago. So for that, he receives whatever he receives from the collective, from the boosters, however, maybe it's a case of 61 Petrus. We don't know. But it's something. Hey, he gets it. All right. Then the next week he goes and says it's going to be Reese. Does anybody care? Is he going to get fired? Is he going to get reprimanded in the media? Is anybody going to say anything other than Frankie? No, they're not. Nobody remembers what these fuckers said. So now he's got a case of 61 Petrus sitting in his house that he didn't have before, all because he said, my opinion is this guy. My opinion now has changed to this guy. Well, what does he care? It's an opinion. Can't get sued. It's not illegal. So what are we talking about? That's the real world. That is the real deal, Holyfield. Frankie bomb. You're not going to hear this kind of thing anywhere else. I'll tell you that much. So I hope that answers your question, Joe Mike. Sorry for the long ramble. Hank G is here. Who would be a Will McDonald pick for you at 16, like a player that no one saw coming? I mean, it's hard to imagine, Hank. Somebody else asked this question as well. I don't think we're going to get pigeonholed. I mean, let's say we took Colton Hood, all right? What's his name? Connor Hughes, the golf enthusiast, said something about Colton Hood. What if we took Colton Hood at 16? All right, then we got a great cover corner. I mean, you almost can't lose. Almost. I think that draft was probably a little lighter on talent than this one. Because no matter what, you're going to get something you like. That's why I keep talking about buckets. There's realistically 7 wide receivers that we should like that we could get at 16. 7 of them. That's just wide receivers. And if there's a wide receiver run in front of us, that means somebody slipped. Did Reuben Baines slip? Oh, my goodness. Did Sonny Styles slip? Whoo! Did Caleb Downs slip? Whoa! So either we get a wide receiver or we get a really good defensive player. What if we pick Venga Ioane? All right, I'm down. He's awesome. I mean, we're not going to pick anybody else. We're not going to pick a tackle. We're not going to pick a center. We're not going to pick a tight. What if we pick Kenyon Sadiq? All right, then we got a great receiving threat tight end. All right, let's go. It's almost like we can't lose. I don't want to say that, but it's almost like, what if we picked Jermod McCoy? I mean, people are comparing Jermod McCoy, just so you know, to Derek Stingley. Now, McCoy has an injury, and so you have to clear him with the medicals. But if you get Jermod McCoy, then you got Derek Stingley on your team. Hello? As long as he's healthy, of course. But I mean, shoot, even if, let's say for some reason, Jeremiah Love slips and we pick him. All right, then we're trading Breece Hall. I mean, right? Like, we're not going to keep both of them. So, anyway you go, I don't know. Will McDonald was a reach, a little bit of a reach. He's probably should have gone in the late 20s. He went 15th, so that's a reach, but that happened because we telegraphed that we were going to take a tackle, and then the Steelers jumped us for the tackle we wanted, who has not turned out to be great, by the way, Broderick Jones. So that was that problem. So that's why I think, if you remember whenever it was, Friday, I think it was, when Connor Hughes started talking about Colton Hood and started talking about the Jets canceled their visit with David Bailey. I think the Jets were trying to put some smoke and muddy some waters so that they don't get pigeonholed and no one knows what we're going to do. So that's the one thing you don't want to do. That's the one criticism I would have of Muji in this offseason. He kind of pigeonholed that he really, really needs a wide receiver. Even if he would just sign, what's his name? The receiver, if he would just sign some veteran receiver that could plausibly be our third receiver, then it would be, it might be worth it just for that, because right now everybody knows the Jets desperately need a wide receiver. Now, he probably thinks it's okay because there's so many of these fuckers in this draft. I mean, speaking of receivers, did you guys know that, Chris Brazzell is in this draft, right? Razzle dazzle, wide receiver, Chris Brazzell. Well, Chris Brazzell has a father. His father is named Chris Brazzell Sr., and he was drafted by the New York Jets. Did you know that? So we had Chris Brazzell's dad on our team back in the 90s, I think it was 98. He didn't make the 53 man. He was on the practice squad, but still, we drafted him in the 6th round, and he went on the practice squad, which was pretty weird. But so you could wind up with Chris Brazzell in the 2nd round. That'd be a nice story. Plus, he's really good. Uh, so I don't know. I don't know. See, maybe I think the Jet fan right now is like delusionally negative, whereas the Giant fan is delusionally positive. It's really weird. The Giant fan thinks they're going to the Super Bowl next year. It's like no, not with that defense. You're not. Give me a break. Uh, whereas the Jet fan, it's like, how can we screw up this draft? It's pretty wild. Oh man. Joe Mike, Jordan Tyson, Pro Day, increased his stock, most likely getting selected top 12 range, meaning that another wide receiver, yeah. So I liked to hear that because for me, Tyson's off my list. He's part of the 7, obviously, but I don't want him for the Jets, for his sake and ours. He's too injury prone. Let him go somewhere where there's grass and dirt, you know? Uh, so for me, for the Jets, I don't want Jordan Tyson. Now he might turn out to be a great receiver in the league. It's not that I don't think he's not great, but I don't think he's a fit for the Jets. So yeah, if everybody's comfortable with his medicals and he goes in the top 15, that's great for us because I don't want him. I I don't want him going to the Jets. I don't think it's good for him, and I don't think it's good for us. So Metatrends Mark is in the house, and Metatrends Mark is part of the inner circle as well. You could be by hitting the join button. You could hang out with Metatrends Mark over here. And Deuteronomy. Football as a KPI for colleges. Nice job laying it out. Yeah. Yeah, it actually is. That's right. It's a key performance indicator. The more football games you win and the more excited people get about your football team, everything at the university improves. It's really quite fascinating. Quite fascinating. Mad Mertz, he's part of the inner circle as well. Please just no incomprehensible out of left field picks. Yeah. Yeah. Let's really, this is the next test of the front office, right? Let's put it this way. They failed in free agency last year, as I told you. They did a bad job. Then the draft came, and the first 3 rounds were fine. Good. After that, it was miserable. Terrible, terrible. So, all right. Then the in-season came. The season didn't go well, as I told you it wouldn't. And they made some great trades. They acquired some good people. A.D. Mitchell, Jarvis Brownlee. They acquired some pieces. They traded away some pieces for some draft picks. Okay. So that was good. Then, free agency this year, they did good. I think they could have done a little bit better, but nonetheless, it was a good, solid job. They increased the floor of the talent. We've shown that. We were the most improved team in free agency out of anybody in the NFL. And so that's an objective thing done by Kevin Cole. And I also told you, looking at it with my lens, that, yeah, we moved up the talent floor of this team significantly. Okay, so that's good. So then the front office, okay, rocking and rolling. All right, now here we are. Now it's go time. This is the big one. You traded away Sauce and Quinnen. Now you got to hit these picks. And so this is the next evaluation point. So far, so good with this front office, I would say. But if they screw up this draft, they're going to be on very thin ice. They have to hit on these picks. And so this is going to be a big test, and we'll be watching it live. So I hope you guys will join me, Mad Mertz and everyone, because I will tell you live, and we'll go over the early picks. We're going to know who they are, but then when we get into day 3, we're not going to know who these guys are. So we're going to have to go into the scouting reports, and we'll show the scouting reports. We'll show the Brugler Beast, what they said, where do they rank, who are these people, what kind of role can they play. That's what we'll talk about. We'll also have the ticker going like this, the Frankie ticker. And we'll keep track of all the picks on the ticker as they come in. You can see this is a little old. Needs to be updated. But we'll have something like this, the Frankie ticker, and you can see the New York Jet draft pick so far, and we'll insert the player names as they come in. And then, in addition to that, we'll also have the docket. which used to be the docket, but we'll just keep track of what players did we get that day. We'll keep that right here. So we have that. Let me know if you have any ideas of what else we can have. We'll also have this, the lucky football. So I got this sucker. We got the green and black. Hopefully this is a good luck Nerf football. We could have fun with this. Hopefully this is our good luck charm right here. It's green. It's black. It's made by the Nerf company. And if you were growing up in the PS207 schoolyard, you would have plenty of Nerf items. So we'll keep this on hand as a good luck charm. And hopefully it brings us good luck. Jojo, so many options and opportunities. Yeah. Super says, I agree with Frankie. I think at 16 we're getting a good player no matter what happens before us. Yeah. Now we could try to trade up, but we never know. Now we got to deal with Giants for a wideout. No, I don't think so. So I dealt with that before. Here's Joe Mike. Let's not forget Cooper, Elijah Surratt. Yeah, Surratt is not a first rounder, but there's 7 in the bucket, Joe. Surratt you might get with that 44th pick, or Jeremy Bernard, or one of those guys. Now, somebody said we got to compete with the Giants for a wide receiver. I don't think so. Why do you say that, Frankie? Well, let's look at their roster. Look at who they have. Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Darnell Mooney's a pretty good starting 3. And then you have Calvin Austin, who's okay as a 4th, and then these guys all suck. But the problem is, are they really going to let this be the defense? They have nothing here. They have no defensive linemen. Burns is good. They have no linebackers. Now they'll probably take Sonny Styles maybe or what have you. Their backfield, this isn't good. Javon Holland played terrible for them last year. That was a big free agent signing that didn't work out. Tyler Nubin may be okay, but they could take Caleb Downs here. But they have all of these. This is a horrible defense. This is not good. How are they going to stop the run exactly? Tremaine Edmonds? He's not good. He's old and stinky. Micah McFadden? What? What are we talking about? So they can't stop the run unless you want them to give up 300 yards a game. I mean, I'm worried about our run defense. It's much, much, much better than this. And we're going to add Reese probably, or Bailey, which I wouldn't like, but at least he can sack people. But not that I don't like sacks, but you got to stop the run first. How are they going to stop the run with these people? I don't understand. And if they want to go offense, the place to go is Venga Ioane. John Runyon stinks. Daniel Falele stinks. He's a Falele falafel. John Michael Schmitz is average. Andrew Thomas is good but gets hurt all the time. And Illuminor is average. This line is not great. They really could use Venga Ioane. That would be great for them if they want to go offense and just completely. Well, you figure at 5 they're probably going to take, Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, or so they'll go defense there. If they want to go offense, they need to get Venga Ioane. That's who they need to get. I mean, because they have Neighbors. He's the superstar that you need. And then Slayton is solid, and then you have Mooney, who's okay. I think it would be malpractice if they went for a wide receiver. To me, it's either Venga Ioane or you got to go defense. How are you going to stop anybody with this? Sam Roberts? I don't even know who that is. Roy Robertson Harris, he's an old guy that is not good. Darius Alexander's a young guy, not good. This is not a good defense. So people are automatically plugging the Giants in for a guy like Jordan Tyson. Now, let's say they did and they went for Jordan Tyson. All right, good. I don't want Jordan Tyson anyway because of his injury history. So, but if I were them, I would not do that. I mean, plus you got Isaiah Likely here. So this is one of the nice signings they made. Likely is like having another wide receiver. So they have good pass catchers. Now, is it the greatest room in the NFL? No, but I think this is solid enough, especially when you consider Likely. And if I were them, I mean, they have crazy Jackson Dart who runs headfirst into brick walls. literally. So you really want this crazy quarterback guy behind this line? And I don't. I want to try to protect him if they think he's good, which they do, but TBD. But still, this line is not good. I'm not a fan of John Runyon at all. He's been below average his whole career. Daniel Falele was a disaster over at Baltimore. The only reason he's here is because John Harbaugh said, let's get Patrick Ricard, let's get all the ex-Ravens that we can get. But I think that would be roster malfeasance. This is a very, very poor defense. I mean, and they'll improve it some, of course, in the draft. It'll help with that 5th pick, whether that's Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, that'll help out. But you can't fix all these positions in the draft. Not one draft. They're gonna need another whole year for this defense to be good, and they got to start building it up. So, I mean, they have Jarek Bernard-Converse on this team. They have Jason Pinnock on this team. I love me some Jason Pinnock, but still, he's not great. They have Zaire Barnes on this team. That's 3 Jet cast-offs they have on this team in the depth areas. And Cam Jones, that's a 4th one. They have 4 guys that the Jets said we don't want. The Jets, get out of here. And they're their depth pieces. This is not good. Sorry. So I just don't see it. But they've been heavily connected to Jordan Tyson, and that's the one I don't want. So how about them Jets? My official prediction is Reese Bailey at 2, then a trade up for Downs. Let's take a look at our trade up options here in a second as we go through some of these comments. Styles and Downs. Yeah, they could want Styles and Downs. Now, that would make sense. That's what I think. Styles and Downs would be right. And that's a way to start. Now, those are not premium positions, but at the same time, you got to start somewhere. And that would be, now they need down linemen, so then the rest of the draft would pretty much have to be defensive ends and nose tackles and things, but yeah, why not do that? The defensive cupboard is bare for them, I think. Joe Mike, remember the Jets won that one. John Michael Schmitz. Well, it's interesting because they were the 2 best centers coming out that year, and Tippmann's now a guard. So, but yeah, Tippmann's been better. John Michael Schmitz was terrible as a rookie and has been average. He hasn't been terrible. He hasn't been bad. But the last 2 years he's been average. So. Hefe is here, agrees with Styles and Downs. Deuteronomy. Harbaugh might not need a nose tackle. Well, how are they going to play defense? I mean, historically, Harbaugh plays a 3-4. You need a nose tackle. But even if you went to a 4-3, which wouldn't make sense because they don't even have the players for that, that'd be even worse. Because then Sam Roberts becomes a 3-tech. So what? I mean, these guys stink. The players are not good. I mean, yeah. So basically, Harbaugh traditionally with the Ravens is a 3-4, but even if they went to a 4-3, that doesn't help. They don't have defensive linemen. In a 4-3, you need more defensive linemen, not less. So that doesn't help. They basically have no defensive linemen at all. And very weak. Well, Burns and Thibodeau are considered linebackers, and Abdul Carter. Those guys are good, pretty good. But then your inside backers are Tremaine Edmonds and Micah McFadden. That's not good. Tremaine Edmonds is below average, and Micah McFadden is not anything. When Sonny Styles comes, Micah McFadden goes to the bench, so that's good. But yeah, if I were them, I'd focus on those things, but you kind of need to get some D linemen at some point. You can't. Cupboard is bare, man. It's no bueno. But let's take a look. If the Jets, how does this trade the Dexter Lawrence trade. How does it affect the Jets? That's what we really want to know. Let me just check the news right quick. Okay, but how does this news affect the Jets? Well, you might be wondering. Well, now there's a new, top 10. Obviously, the Giants are here now instead of Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati was not going to take a wide receiver under any circumstances. They're already giving they're giving a ton of their cap space to Chase and Higgins, so they were not going to get a third one here. Now, the Giants could. I don't think they should, but they could. So, but what they really should do is trade with the Jets and move back and get more players. Because one thing the Jets could do with 16, they may get worried that some of these teams are going to pick wide receivers and we're going to get shut out. Now, in my buckets, I have 7, so I don't think we can get shut out. But the Jets may have, 4 that they like. And the teams that could take a wide receiver up here, Cleveland could take one. Washington could take one. New Orleans could take one. KC could take one. They could do lots of other things. Miami could, and the Rams could, and Baltimore could. So that's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what in our nightmare scenario, everyone out of our bucket is gone. All right, then somebody slipped and we get a good defensive player, as we've talked about. But that's possible. So the Jets, though, they may get desperate and a little worried. Maybe they really, really want their wide receivers, so they want to jump all the way up at least to here. I mean, they could maybe even want to get to 7. So the question is, does the value work out? Well, here's the value chart. So let's say we just want to get to 10 or 8. Say, if we got to 8, we'd be sitting pretty. But so this 16 is worth 1,000. So we got to make up the difference of 400 points if we want to go all the way up to 8. Let's say to be super safe, we really want to get one of our guys. We don't want to chance it. Well, the way to do it is you go and give up this 44th pick because this is worth 460 points right here. So 460 plus 1,000 gives you 1,460. That gives you surplus value if you're the Saints. So maybe they want to do it. They want to go from 8 to 16 and pick up 44. Now, and then that way we're sitting at 8. We're going to get one of our wide receivers that we like. Maybe even Tate, though maybe not. It could be Tate, though, if you're sitting at 8. That'd be incredible. Because the Browns could go offensive line here. They basically have 2 needs, wide receiver, offensive line. The Redskins, or the Commanders, they could go any which way. Dan Quinn is their head coach. Then maybe they want Bain. Maybe nobody knows what they're doing. Maybe they want, it probably depends who's on the board. If Caleb Downs is there, do they take him? I don't know. They could do anything. But then if we're sitting at 8, the worst we do is our third, the third wide receiver on our board probably we get. So I could see Muji getting pretty proactive to come up to 8. Now, Mickey Loomis is the general manager of the New Orleans Saints, and he traditionally does not like to move back. He likes to move up. This is where Aaron Glenn learned his philosophy, which he said on one of the interviews, where if you like your guy, go get your guy, meaning move up. That has been traditionally the Saints' way of doing things. So Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis had an influence on Glenn that way. That's where Aaron Glenn got that. And that's traditionally how they've operated. However, reports and comments by Loomis and fan sentiment out of New Orleans is this year he may want to move back for the first time in forever. So that would be a pick I would target to try to get into the top 10 if I'm Muji, if I'm nervous about losing out on these wide receivers because we didn't really address it in the free agency. Now, the good news there is then All right, but now we have this pick 33 here, and there may be a bunch of teams, depending how the board falls, that want to go up to 33. So then we could trade this 33 back and maybe get, one of these picks here. So now plus one of these, or maybe a third round pick that we don't have. And so now we have another pick in the third round. So then we'd have one pick in round 2 and another pick in, say, round 3. Or if one of these teams has a couple of picks here in the second round, something like that, and we recoup some of the value that way. So that's one way that all of this could impact the Jets. The Giants should be in the market to trade this 10th pick, in my opinion. But if not, then certainly either Washington or New Orleans. I would target New Orleans with this, because if you look at Washington, we got to give them more to get this up to 500 points of value. Now, some of the other things that nobody else is going to tell you about, this is why you should be subscribed to the Frankie channel. If you look at these Bengalis, they got a problem. Now, the problem is Dexter Lawrence is going to get a big contract. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is they got money problems. The Bengals, as of right now today, down here, the Bengals cannot pay their draft class. Now, this will probably change because now they don't have the 10th pick here. But their effective cap space is below 0, meaning they're in the hole. Now, they're not going to be in the hole because now they don't have to pay the 10th pick. But nonetheless, they do not have a lot of cap space, and they can take some of those big contracts and move money around. But the idea is that they're not in a good cap place. They'll be cap compliant, of course, but since they're not in a good cap place, is there anybody on this roster that they may want to move for cap purposes? And yes, there is. His name is T.J. Slaton. Now, we have a sneaky need for depth defensive tackles. He's a defensive tackle. And now, is he any good? Well, how much money does he make? So they could move. He's due for a $9 million cap hit with a dead cap of 2.5, so they could save about 7.5, which they need. So by trading him, they're going to save $7.5 million, which they need, and he's not great. Here's his grades for the season. Now, he's not great, but that's why we wouldn't have to trade too much. Like, I'm thinking a 2028 pick swap of 7th and 6th round picks, probably get it done. All they want to do is dump his salary. And for us, he'll be defensive tackle 6. So an experienced guy, you may remember him from his days in Green Bay when he was an average defensive lineman. As you can see here, has not been great the last couple of years, but an experienced guy, 3 sacks last year, a missed tackle percentage of only 7.3. For defensive tackle 6, and for a 2028 pick swap where they're just looking to dump salary, that could be something that interests us because of this trade. They're probably going to have to release him anyway. Somebody else we could look at is Chris Jenkins Jr., but it doesn't give them enough salary cap. And you may remember Chris Jenkins Sr. was on our team back in the Rex Ryan days. This is his son, Chris Jenkins Jr. So that's someone we could try to get, but I think T.J. Slaton, it could be a target. Experienced guy, not great, just a salary dump, and so we don't have to give up much at all. They're probably going to release him anyway, and we could add to our team that way because we need more defensive tackles, and that's a sneaky need that no one's talking about. I started looking at this and saying, well, look at the Dolphins. I mean, even with all the moves that they have made, why are the Dolphins still so bad? Their effective cap space, they can't sign their draft class right now. So the Dolphins have to make more moves. I mean, they have to at some point. They're $8 million in the hole. Even after all this stuff they did, they're still $8 million plus in the hole. And Chris Greer might be the worst general manager of all time. So I started looking and seeing Zach Sealer, someone that we want. But look at this Zach Sealer contract. It's crazy. They paid Zach Sealer through his age 34 season now. They could, if they want to take $9 million dead cap, they could get out of it next year. And maybe if we traded for him, we'd have to work out a new contract that makes sense for everybody. But that's a guy they could get rid of, I guess. Although it doesn't really, looks like it's a $30 million cap hit now. So I don't think we can actually trade for this guy. Or if we did, well, so I started looking at it because the Dolphins have to do something. Who are they going to get rid of? How are they going to manage this? I don't understand. But they could move some money around, I guess. Jordan Brooks, I don't know. But they also just don't have a lot of players that you want. Zach Sealer would be one, but his contract is kind of ridiculous. So that's some of the implications of this trade for the Jets. I think we could maybe try and get a defensive tackle out of it somewhere, but particularly the Bengals. And so, and I mean, there's going to have to be more trades made. The Dolphins have to make some kind of moves, if only move money around at least. But they probably have to get rid of more players, I think. I don't know. Unless over the cap is just incorrect. So those are some of the things, some of the minor implications that could impact us as we move forward. So Deuteronomy says Giants could trade 10 for 5 and 2. 10 and 5 for 2. I don't think they want to do that. If any, they need to move back. They need to improve their roster. They don't need one player. They need many players. I just showed you the roster. It's bare, Deuteronomy. Come on, Dodes. They don't want to do that. They got to be moving back. They need to stockpile. Now, one thing you wonder about is John Harbaugh going to bring the loser's curse philosophy of Eric DeCosta and the Baltimore Ravens over to the Giants? Now, in that philosophy, it's basically you should almost always trade back and always try to acquire more and more and more picks. So we'll see if that philosophy follows Harbaugh. I also have this secret feeling that, I don't know if it's a secret feeling. I have this feeling that Joe Shane's going to get fired after the draft. And I think they're going to make Donna Ponte the named general manager, and then she will handle the contracts. And then John Harbaugh will be the talent evaluating GM, so to speak. But that remains to be seen. BBA says, maybe love for the Giants. I mean, why would they take a running back when they have so many other needs? They seem to love Cam Skattyboo. Skiddly-doo Skattyboo. They have okay running backs, but when you need offensive line and you need basically an entire defense, taking a running back is not a good idea. Skattyboo. So everybody seems to love Skattyboo. Yards per attempt 4.1 last year. So I'm not sure why. I mean, he does some cool dance moves when he scores a touchdown, but this man averages 4.1 yards per attempt, which is below average. But they seem to love him. He's a good short yardage back, I guess. But they have some other guys, Tyrone Tracy and so forth, so they're not really in a position to take a running back, in my opinion. Stay woke. is here. Hefe says, I agree with whomever said if we trade up, I'd prefer it to be for downs than one of the wide receivers. 2-year plan. Well, we were not on a 2-year plan, Hefe. Get a guy in round 2 this year, wait to see at 16. I wouldn't really trade up for downs. Yeah, but they're not in cap hell anymore. So they cleared up all of that stuff. They basically have changed their ways. So they're in good shape cap wise now, and now they're into now they have to build up the team for Tyler Shuck. They got the quarterback, so now they're in good shape. Second bucket of wide receivers, very good too. Yeah, the second bucket, but you wouldn't want to take the second bucket in the first round though. They're fine to take in round 2 or further back, but you really don't want to take them in round 1. I mean, you could at 16, let's say all 7 of those guys are gone, and you want to take Chris Razzle Dazzle Brazzle at 16. Okay, I'm higher on him than most, but it would be a reach, I think. That would be a reach. You might as well just take the best defensive player there. Tyler Lombardo wants to take Lemon at 2. How about them Jets? If we pick a wide receiver in the top 10, that player make more than GW5. No, I don't think so. Malik Willis to Malik Washington will be a thing. Okay. First Reese, second wide receiver choice, 33 and 44. See how the board fall. Well, that's boring, Mad Mertz. That's probably how it's going to work, but scatty boo. Chiefs have cap problems also. Yeah, the Chiefs. Yeah, they're down here. But the Chiefs, who do you want to acquire for the Chiefs then? I mean, you have to look on their teams and see who would they possibly want to get rid of. It's tricky because they're in their Super Bowl. Anytime you have Mahomes, that's your Super Bowl window, right? So they're not going to give you somebody great. You're looking basically for guys who are making too much money for what they provide on the field. The Jefe's depth chart. I mean, who are you going to trade for on this team? Let's look at the team. Who here is making too much money that they would want to get rid of? That's why I'm saying TJ Slayton, because he makes money and he's not great. But he fits our need for a defensive tackle depth, and we could get him cheaply. And so who fits the bill here? Alohi Gilman? How much money is he making? I mean, they're in cap hell basically because of Chris Jones and Mahomes and I don't know who else they paid. I think they paid Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey. Did they pay Creed Humphrey already? They may have to pay him. Oh, Jason Brownlee's here. But who really fits the bill of something you want that's overpaid that they don't want? It's hard to find. They took back Asa Poll, those bastards. But I don't know. Basically, what they're going to do probably just move money around from Mahomes. You know, that's what they'll do. They're not going to trade anyone. They're probably going to move money around because again, they're in a Super Bowl window. Anytime you have Mahomes, that's a Super Bowl window. So they're not looking to offload things. Whereas the Bengals, they probably delusionally think they could go for the Super Bowl, but they'd be more willing to trade off some pieces. And plus, they don't. I mean, that was a sign. They signed Slayton for like 2 years, $14 million. That's a free agent miss right there. So that's a lot of money on the books for a guy who just isn't producing. The Chiefs don't really have anybody I see that fits that bill. The players that aren't good, they're not making any money. So, you know, maybe Felix Anudike Uzoma, but that guy's not good. I wouldn't want that guy. That was a miss of a draft pick. Boy, this team, this is not a great team. I mean, when you have Mahomes, you always have a chance, but this defense isn't really great. It's okay. Cole Christensen? Who's Cole Christensen? Noel Williams? Who are these people? Who are these people, and what do they do with the real players? I don't know, man. Kingsley Sumatia is their left guard. Jalen Moore is their right tackle. This team's a little shaky. I don't know. And plus, Mahomes is coming off an injury. This team's kind of shaky. I don't know. But you really have to find those guys that people want to get rid of because they're not performing up to their contract. That's really what you're looking at. So the only thing that really came out this morning, Rich Cimini had perhaps one of the worst columns I've ever read, where he's talking to Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson basically said, hey, if you have a bunch of draft picks, you got to draft good players. Oh. So that was the enlightening philosophy of Jimmy Johnson, NFL draft genius. Oh, we have to pick the right players? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. And then he got Daniel Jeremiah to give a quote that says, "Yeah, the Jets really need to get the quarterback right, the future franchise quarterback." Oh, wow, Daniel, thank you for that fascinating insight. We did not know this. So Cimini's really trying to scratch something up. Rosenblatt hasn't tweeted in looks like a few days. Yeah, Rosenblatt hasn't tweeted in 2 days, so he's probably hungover. Connor Hughes been busy talking about Dexter Lawrence, of course. So as far as these Jet beat writers, not a lot coming out, really. They've been pretty quiet. So I don't know. It's the Sunday before the draft. The Jets still have a bunch of holes on the roster. We all know what they are. And we'll have to see if Muji's able to pull things off. Now, a lot of people are saying this is going to be a big week of trades. Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. Mark Shissetti's here. But basically, the other thing that's going on tomorrow, the guys are back in the building. I don't know if you guys knew that. But for some stupid reason, this collective bargaining agreement has all sorts of OTA days before the draft. Makes no sense whatsoever. But that's how the worst players union on the earth, the NFLBA, negotiated it. So the week of the draft, we have to have all the guys coming in for meetings and mini workout. I don't know what they're going to do tomorrow. They come in, say, how you doing? Get weighed in. Have a few meetings, get to know each other. Hey, how you doing? Keep it moving. Hey, good to see you. I mean, what good does it do to have 1 day of an OTA before the draft? I don't know. But that's the way the collective bargaining works. That's what we got to do. So what'll happen tomorrow is we'll get a bunch of information. They'll probably do I assume there's going to be some player availability for the media. Oddly, Muji has not talked to the media. You have seen all the general managers of the teams doing their pre-draft press conference. I think it's required by the league because they all do it, but you have not seen Darren Muji do it. So that's a little strange. And perhaps He's going to do it this week. We should probably get some player availabilities with the media, like some of the new players. Maybe we'll talk to the media. I don't know, but nonetheless, the New York Jet social media team will be posting pictures, videos. Here are the guys walking in, in the morning. So we'll see if Breece Hall shows up for one thing. If he doesn't, it's really no big deal. We know he's working out and all that good stuff. But that's going to happen tomorrow. And then after that, it's all eyes turned to the draft. A couple of days of quietness, and then we'll see how many trades are made. Like I said, we'll be covering the draft live here on FSPN. We got this football. This is a Nerf football. We're going to hope this is the lucky charm to make sure we pick the best players possible. We'll be watching it live. We got a big TV over here, so we're going to watch it over the air, so hopefully there won't be any delays. And then we'll be reacting and analyzing all of the picks live on this channel Thursday at 8 p.m. I think I'm going to come on the air at 7 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. That way we have a little breathing room in case there's any trades right before the draft. And we will keep track of everything. We'll analyze everything that happens. Are we happy? Are we mad? Are we sad? What's going on? What's happening? But all of that will be live on Thursday. Then we'll come back live on Friday. Then we'll come back live on Saturday, analyzing all the picks and all the moves and everything that's going on. So I will see you guys this week, and then we'll see you live on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. It's going to be crazy. And then I guess we'll come back for coffee on Sunday to analyze everything. And if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Consider joining the channel. You get lots and lots of extras. The fellas who are in the inner circle, as it were, will tell you it's a great value for $2 a month. You get extra stuff. And consider signing up for the newsletter, the Frankie blog over here. It's called Chemtrails. Putting out articles, written articles and things. Chemtrails. We got the Sunday Jet letter today that came out. Got a bunch of items in there. We got David Onyemata, an article about him. You may not know where he's from. Where did he come from? How did he get here? Why is he called the globe-trotting run stuffer? Why is this happening? And then we got Geno Smith, the return of the prodigal quarterback. Will it be a new hero's journey or just another butt fumble? In Jets lore, explaining that. What about the effervescence of being Carl Dunbar? What's that all about? What does that mean? What about the Glen fence? What to expect in 26 from the AGD? Multiplicity, schematic fluidity, and the art of making the complex simple. So forth and so on. Lots of stuff here on the Chemtrails Substack. We also have a podcast, which is basically audio from the video. Video stuff. And, more and more and more stuff going on. So please consider signing up. That's going to always be free. So you don't have to worry about that. You just give your email. It comes right into your email, so that's nice and convenient. And with that being said, thanks for joining. I'll see you all this week. It should be exciting. Get excited. It's draft week. See ya.